Hey everyone, Todd here, internalarchitect.com. And in this video, I'm going to try to teach you as best as I can about what does cancer feel like. The reason why this is kind of a subjective topic for me, and it's really hard to express exactly how something feels, to explain it to someone that may not know or understand. But I'm going to try to do my best for you. And I'm going to start by telling a story, telling part of my story of kind of the hindsight side of what I really remember as 10 or 11 months before I was diagnosed, and kind of leading up to everything, to my diagnosis time. And then I'm going to break it down into two different aspects for someone that might be a possible patient trying to just get a little bit of information of maybe this is something that makes sense to me that I might be going through, that might help them get a little bit more information onto what might be going on with them. And then also from a concerned person or a caregiver standpoint also, so that they kind of can have a little bit of an insight and wrap their head around what it is that their friend or their family member might be going through also. About 11 months before I was diagnosed, I ended up coming back from a little trip to Florida. And I went up to a little ski resort that some of you may have known or heard about called Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And I went up there to go snowboarding with a friend of mine. And we drove up and ended up, getting checked in. And we went to the $1 Million Cowboy Bar. I'm sure if you've been up there, you know what that is. It's just a big kind of country western bar that is a staple of Jackson, Wyoming. And we proceeded to have a beer and a shot of whiskey. And I remember opening the beer and taking a sip and going, this is really, really not very good. And it just didn't taste right. It did not really make any sense to me, and I was just like, this is really horrible. And this company's known for their born on date and their freshness of their beer and how it's brewed. So I looked at it and it was all good, and I was like, I asked my buddy Neil, I was like, does this thing taste okay to you? And he's like, yeah, this tastes fine to me. And so I was like, so I had the bartender get me another one. I ended up taking that one, and it too just did not taste good. So that was kind of the start of what I remember really being a change of what was happening in my body, not knowing this at the time. Things started tasting differently. Things became a lot more bland. Nothing really was tasting good to me, and that continued. And I was aware of this, and it was really kind of weird, and I didn't know why. And it started and it continued through the summer and really up until my diagnosis time. Through that, I started losing a lot of weight. I figured and attributed it to the physical activity that I was doing. I was doing a lot of tree work and a lot of logging work because at the time, the pine beetle was really causing a lot of destruction in and around the Summit County area. And during 2009, it was a really hard time with the economy being at the kind of the hardest hit at that moment. And we were doing anything and everything we could to make a living at that point. So I was working really hard. I was busy. I was losing weight. I was, in a lot of regards, feeling pretty good because I was kind of overweight to begin with. Not bad, but enough to realize that my knees were kind of hurting and whatever. And, if I would have kept going down that road and I didn't go through cancer, there could have possibly been some onset diabetes stuff happening. So in some sense, all this that was happening was a good thing. Because I was losing weight, I was also having these night sweats that were just immense. And I was soaking my bed. Like, it was actually crazy. I couldn't even believe it. And having to wash the sheets every day, and it was so intense that also helped me lose weight. And I remember laying on the couch, just here and there, and my heart rate would just start to skyrocket. It would go up to 120, 130 just by laying there. And it was just something was going on. So at that point I knew something was going on. I had insurance, so I went in and got blood work done about in July-ish. And it came back all pretty normal except for my white blood cell counts were high. I had no clue what that meant, but we decided to do another set of blood tests and did that. About a month later, the results came back. I wasn't in any hurry or anything like that. So that came back in end of August, beginning of September, and it showed an even higher increase in my white blood cell count. This is starting to kind of pick up on the radar with my primary care doctor and the group of physicians working here in Summit County. And we decided to do one more blood test and ended up getting those back on the day that I went to the emergency room and started down the entire path of being diagnosed with my Hodgkins. And that's kind of some of the bits there. During this time in between all the tests, I was getting really itchy. I remember there was a point where I was at my fiance's house and I just could not stop itching my legs. I mean, it was intense. Like, it was really, it felt so good, but I didn't want to stop because it was that itchy. And I even have some scars on my elbows on both sides from where I just would itch and bleed. And it scarred up over time because it just wouldn't stop. Between the itching, the blood cell counts, food tasting bad, the weight loss, that was really the start of getting me to that point of figuring out what was going on with me. So I wasn't feeling 100% healthy. I wasn't feeling 100% with it, and that's kind of what led me down that path. So these were the original symptoms that I was dealing with as a pre-diagnosed cancer patient. With that said, once I was diagnosed, then all the relief came. I finally figured out what was going on. I figured out why things weren't tasting good. I figured out, with the night sweats and the itching and everything else, that is the reason why things were happening. So I wasn't feeling good, just an overall not feeling good. I didn't feel horrible like I was dealing with the flu. It was just kind of like a low grade, just, I just don't feel good. Constantly tired, but just kind of making it happen. And, a lot of it, I think, was attributed to stress and, maybe some lifestyle stuff, all of the above. And that's kind of where that goes. So with that said, I want to kind of take it to the perspective of a cancer patient or a possible new cancer patient. What I want you to know is that it's important to start paying attention to some of these signs, whether you are feeling tired, you are itching, you are having really bad night sweats, food isn't tasting right, if you have bumps in your neck or in your armpit or in your groin, things to be really aware of, because these are signs that you might be having a immune system issue, which is possibly leading to lymphoma. Keep an eye on these things if you're not feeling good, if things aren't tasting right. That was my first biggest thing, was food and drinks were not tasting like they should. And so that kind of kept it going on and kept moving forward, and slowly that's what helped me figure out what it was that I had going on. So for a caregiver or a concerned family member or person, this is something that you can do to help keep an eye on your friend is ask questions about, are things tasting different? Are you feeling really tired and lethargic all the time? Are you having a hard time concentrating? Are you having night sweats? Are you feeling itchy? These are some of the symptoms. You're helping ask about these symptoms, because as a concerned person, that's just what you do. These are ways that you can kind of help figure out what cancer can feel like, not only for yourself but for the person and for the possible patient also. These are, keep these in mind, that this is kind of a generalized bit here, and this is also based off my own experience. But I want you to understand that this is what cancer can feel like, and it's just a lot of small health things that might be nagging at the back of your head and you might be feeling at the time, and you're just kind of curious why these things are happening, and if they slowly are getting a little bit worse each day and each week, each month, then it all starts to make sense to take it to the next level and start figuring out why these things are happening. So that's where you start really getting involved with your doctor. The doctor will hopefully help guide you into the next steps that need to be taken, and that could be blood work, that could be a CT scan, that could be even some biopsies to help figure out what it is that's going on. So yeah, if you have any questions, hit me in the comment section below. Sorry, trying to keep it a little bit organized there. I get a little bit off tangent, but nonetheless, yeah, let me know. Hit me in the comment section below. And I just want you to know that I really appreciate your time and your energy into watching the videos, and still trying to put out about 3 videos a week. And yeah, I really appreciate your time and energy into watching them, and I will see you on the next video.